All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Spike Kool-Aid for Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. Brought you in with the smooth sounds, man, of Das Effects. They want effects, man, the 1990 joint. I'm really showing my age now, man, but shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the Dern says, my man. Braylon in the building. Spencer is in the building as well. Let me see. We got Camro, bro. Okay, Camro, bro. I probably butchered that. What up, nephew? What's up, Lou? I'm in physics right now, but I still gotta watch. Y'all better focus on the schoolwork, bro. Y'all better focus on the schoolwork. Only loyal people here. Everyone hit the like button. Oh, yeah. New Zealand. What up, man? Shout out to Lord of the Rings, bro. Shout out. Where's the freestyle? I wasn't really in the mood, man. I just was, They Want Effects has been in my head for a little while, so I wanted to bring y'all in with that. I ain't feeling freestylish today. I just, I feel like, I don't know. I got to be in the mood for that. Shout out to Galloping says, Tenor Extreme was fired by Glenn today. What? Yes. We are going to talk about that on my way to lunch with my dad. Shout out to your dad, man. Carlton Johnson says, you and Everything King should do a pod together. Y'all my faves. You know what's funny, man, is King has been around for a long time. He's been around for a long. He been one. So when I speak of the OGs in this space, King is one of them. It's like me, him, and probably one or two other people, man. But and the fact that we're still doing it now, you know what I mean? And he's been holding the Pistons down for quite a while, and I'm about to get into that as well. Shout out to the Pistons. They do play tonight. That should be a game right there. Yo, they scored like 100 and like a billion points last game after not being able to score the game before, which is crazy, man. You just never know. Watch out for the name Monroe Feeling T Georgia. Dern, what's up with that, bro? You can let me know off the air if you want. Denver, yes, sir. 9 p.m., man. Them night games been killing me. But you know what's funny is I've been watching games now, and I'll watch basketball all day. What a distraction it is from football, like thinking about the Lions and other things. It is so – I'm glad that the Pistons got me back into basketball. It's not as soft as I remember or I thought it would be. But you know what the funny part is I was going back, and I'm like, there had to be a moment that the NBA changed because I was watching some now that I'm watching basketball content will appear in my feed. And I was watching some highlights and stuff like that. And you think about the Pistons from 20 years ago, right? The Pistons had a streak where they did not allow 70 points. 70 points, man. You know what I mean? Now, this is pre-Steph Curry and all of that. But if you go back to like the mid-2000s, the early 2000s, 100 points was tough to get in the NBA. And now it's like every game is 100 points, 100. And it was a game the other day between the Warriors and somebody, man. It was 145 to 127. That's 262 points. 272 points between two teams when the Pistons were keeping teams under. I mean, it used to be 71-69 in 4 quarters of basketball, man. It was crazy. Now everybody shoots the three. Everybody, you know what I can't stand? I cannot stand this. Me and my wife will sit down and we'll watch some basketball games. So I still have cable. So some games I'll get without the league pass. So I'll get to watch the Kings, their network. I'll get to watch the Rockets, the Trailblazers. So I'm getting a little familiar with, Danny Avia and some guys like Kevin Durant still doing his thing, right? So we're watching the NBA. And I don't know how long this has been a thing, but when you go to the basket and you're, everything is a yell to the basket, bro. And I'm like, man, I think about how the NBA has come. The year I was born is when the 3-point line came to be, right? The 1979-80 season, I think it was, and just how far the NBA has come and how it's almost like maybe they wanted offense so people could tune in. Maybe they were, because we're talking about the Pistons, man. The going to work Pistons used to keep people under 70 points, bro. Like you'll see a 70-point quarter between two teams. That was the whole game in the mid 2000s. So shout out to the Pistons back in the day, man. Without Jokic, we finna blow them up out of the water. I don't know know, man. It's been a couple guys on Denver that been playing pretty well. Duran dropping. Yo, I didn't know Jalen Duran was 22. I asked my wife how old my wife is. She's a good like judge of like when she could see people, but she was all off. I told her, I said, how old you think Kay Cunningham is? She said 32. I said, how old you think Jalen Duran is? She was like 28. I was like, yo, Jalen Duran is 22 years old. Like, it's crazy, man. But shout out to the Pistons, bro. Shout out to the Pistons. We got some dogs on our squad. They be locking up on defense. I'm going to tell you what I see from watching the Pistons. I see that we need some shooters. I know you say that it's Jaden Ivey. I know you say, like, if Duncan Robinson is not hitting shots, like outside of, okay, you got what's his name? Dennis Jenkins, right? You got him. He come in, provide a spark. But I'm like, yo, if it's some dudes, I'm like, yo, you shouldn't even be out there shooting, bro. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I'm like, Pistons need at least another shooter, because if Cade is off, like, you know what I miss the mid range. Pistons score a lot of points in the paint, right? I miss like okay, the old Pistons back in let's take the bad boys. So the bad boys, you had dudes that could spread you out, right? So you had Joe Dumars, he was like the 3 guy. Then you had Isaiah Thomas, he was kind of take you to the hole, he'd pull up mid range. You had Dennis Rodman doing all the dirty work. Bill Laimbeer could hit a 3, he could do you in the post, he could hit the mid range, right? So then you had the going to work Pistons. So Rip Hamilton was not the 3 guy. He was like the mid-range dude. Then you had Chauncey Billups. He could take you to the hole. Rip would take you to the hole. Tayshaun, Ben, right? All of these guys. And I'm like, it seems like that I don't know where the mid-range dude is at. You know what I mean? Like, where's the mid-range guy at? So I wouldn't mind another shooter, but that's just me. I just started watching about 2 months ago, and I picked up like, yo, okay. And what I noticed too is that the Pistons, I think somebody said during the game a couple days ago that the Pistons are like the second slowest paced team in the league. If you watch like the Sacramento Kings, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Toronto Raptors, they're scoring in 8 seconds. I mean, it's just up and down, up and down, up and down. That's another thing you don't see too. And maybe that's why the scoring is so high, is because a lot of these teams, and it seems like West Coast teams, they move a lot faster than the East Coast teams. But, like I said, and it's funny because I would say 8 out of 10 times I get to watch whatever's on without NBA League Pass. So it'll be like yesterday, it was 5 games on. I think 2 were on Peacock. But since I have cable, they let me watch, like it was on Peacock and NBC. So I was watching basketball all night long yesterday. So, yeah. Beasley would have been back if he was coming back. Don't forget Vinny, the microwave. Yeah, Vinny Johnson, man, was crazy. Chaz needs more minutes. Oh, Lanier. Cade Cunningham is the mid-range, but of recent, he's been driving to the basket. You know what's funny? It's like it seems like when Cade is on, he's on, and when he's not, he's not. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It just seems like the mid-range guy, like you knew that Rip was going to pull up at the elbow. You know what I'm saying? And just coof, all net. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, bro. I don't know. But it's funny watching basketball from like different generations. So I've been around where I can remember the end of the Bad Boys era, the beginning of Grant Hill, the teal jerseys, when we tried that little horse change, all of that. I remember like that's kind of where my memory goes back those days. So, Marcus, I would like to see Marcus get some playing time too, man. Because it seemed like when he come out, he be doing his thing. What up, Jay Smooth? What up, everybody? So we got some stuff to talk about tonight. Another thing too that I don't like is so the Pistons come on FanDuel, and FanDuel is so slow. Like FanDuel is like 2 or 3 plays behind, bro. I'll be like, what is up? So like I'll check ESPN for the score, and they're 2 or 3 baskets ahead of FanDuel. So I don't know if that's because I use streaming, or would it be like that on the Hardwire system as well? What up, Jay? I'm having a good week, man. I hope you guys are having a good week. I was just talking about how the Pistons are a great distraction, but not only the Pistons, man, basketball in general. Basketball is a great distraction. And you realize like, yo, it's 5 to 7 games a day. you're seeing like the same guy. So me and my wife are watching basketball, and I'm like, we just saw this guy yesterday. We just saw, like, we watched the Timberwolves two days in a row. They played back to back, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. Bally Sports used to be like that. Yeah, man. You know what? I wasn't watching it back then, but yeah. So FanDuel is I guess built in our package because I still have cable. Like I pay for cable because of this whole thing. Like if we didn't have, like, so my wife works from home and obviously I do YouTube. So the internet is a priority. We got the highest speed possible. And then we still, pay for Comcast cable. So we have all of that. We get to record shows and, still doing that. So, yeah. So, all right. So let's get into the news that came out yesterday. Yesterday, the Detroit Lions, let me see. That's very old school. I respect it. What, the cable? Yeah. Comcast got us with the triple play, man. Look, let me ask y'all this. What was, if you local, or you don't even have to be local, what was Comcast, like the first name of Comcast? Before Comcast, what was the name of what's now known as Xfinity? What was it before? That's crazy, man. It didn't mean Comcast in a minute. What was before that? Anybody remember? C-Pool with the super chat says, I like AJ Green from the Bucks. He would fit in. He would fit. Okay, AJ Green. I watch them a lot too. I know a couple guys from them because it seems like they're always giving me a Bucks game, a Lakers game, the Sacramento Kings, I don't see the Raptors a lot. I don't get to see them. So, yeah. But I think the Pistons could use another shooter, man, because it seems like when Cade comes out, they get a little lost. Barton Cable. Yep, that is correct. It was Barton back in the day. What up, Kamikaze says, yo, what up? You one of my few Lions content creators I watch, but I'm waiting for the Lions to do something stupid like re-sign Davenport or trade Montgomery so I can take a break until next season starts. Well, you know what, Kamikaze, you know good and well you ain't taking no break. You know you ain't, because if you listening to this show right now, bro, you ain't taking a break. You ain't taking. If you one of the 83 people listening to the show or one of the people that listen to the show and play back, you ain't taking a break. Because if you was going to take a break, you would take a break right now. So you can, hey, stop the cap, bro. Stop the cap. We better not do either of those options. Yeah. So let's get into some Lions talk, man. Yesterday, the Lions decided to bring in Mike Kafka. Now, you guys know this already. It broke about 24 hours ago, and it's a very intriguing situation. I think that there is going to be, there's a reason that this happened, obviously, and I think that reason is going to be the fact that Brad and Dan, specifically Dan, he has to make sure that this is right. Also, Aaron Glenn. We're going to talk about Aaron Glenn. Could Dan Campbell do something like Aaron Glenn? If you haven't heard, Aaron Glenn has pretty much gutted his entire staff. And I'm wondering if that was a ultimatum given to him by ownership. So we're going to talk about that. Holmes met with Caden Proctor. You know what, bro? I don't even care. I don't even care. That QB, look, I'm not buying none of that. Look, if Brad Holmes drafts the quarterback, he drafts the quarterback. I don't know, man. I'm going to feel some type of way. I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling some type of way. I'm going to feel some type of way. I'm going to feel some type of way. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. You cannot draft a quarterback unless you draft one for the next regime because you ain't going to be here. Brad Holmes, you better not draft a quarterback, bro. You got time to be drafting a quarterback. See, y'all trying to get me upset this afternoon, and I ain't trying to be upset. I tried watching your Kafka video last night, but it was in Chinese. I don't know why I couldn't watch it without a female Chinese voice. Okay, Carlton. Here's how you fix that. What were you on? Your phone? No, I know Proctor, but I also saw that he met with the court. It was a quarter. Somebody was talking about a quarterback that the Lions could draft as well. So I'm not talking about Proctor. I'm talking about the quarterback. Okay, what were you watching it on? What were you watching it on? Because I can tell you how to fix that right now. You said it was in Chinese. Okay, we're not talking. Look, I'm not talking about Proctor. I'm talking about the QB. I'm not talking about the QB. All right, so let me see. Hold on. Let me turn this down. All right. Were you watching it on a television? You must have been watching it on a computer or a TV. Is that right? Because if you were watching it, I don't know. Let me see. Closed captions. You can turn that off and on. You can go to your settings and you can choose quality, playback speed, more. If you go to more. Okay, so that must be a TV thing. That must be a TV thing. So if you're on your television, you can go to the settings and you can select the language. I don't know if you can do that on your cell phone, which is weird. But I was going to tell you how to cut it off. So let me do this real quick as well. A couple things, something super random. All right. As a 46-year-old grown man, certified grown man, I have come to really appreciate Kelly Rowland. I know this is way off in left field, but as a young man, as a teenager, as a 21, 22-year-old, Beyonce was my favorite. Not no more. She ain't been my favorite in a long time. But it's funny how you mature, and as you mature as a individual, you appreciate things that you took for granted when you was younger. So shout out to Kelly Rowland. And Kelly Rowland is, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see it. I didn't see it when I was 22, but I see it at 46. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Kelly Rowland. I would throw Beyonce in the trash in a second. And I was 100% to Beyonce. When I'm talking about 100, not 99, I was 100% Beyonce. But now 110 Kelly Rowland. It's maturity. It's a crazy thing. Also, side note, other channel related, want to say thank you. You guys will probably be the first to see my new designs when I design some new shirts, which is coming up soon. I just have to take time to do it. I want to say thank you for making so I got an email yesterday from the company that I use to produce the shirts and the merchandise. And they told me, which is kind of awesome if you think about it, they told me that I was in the top 10% in profit. Now, it's not a lot. They have a milestone you get to. And that milestone is, I'll just say this. It's more than $500, but it's less than $2,000. And if you make a profit of this amount, you are in the top 10% of creators who use their platform. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Because I haven't made a lot of money. I've made between there as far as profit. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Because it's not like I'll go weeks without a sale. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think, and the store has been open for 7 months now. So it's not like it's been, it's just, they flying off the shelf. But I'll go weeks without a sale. Then I'll get a notification that somebody made a sale and or somebody bought a product. And I get an email because I got a sample credit of $25. And for those of you who don't know, I actually have to buy my own product. So I buy the product and I sample it before I sell it. So like the shirts that I want to make, I'm going to purchase those shirts, check for quality and stuff like that, of the design, whatever. And then if I like it, I'll put it up for sale. But they told me I was in the 10% of creators that use their platform. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Because the amount is not that big. And it's just like, wow, I didn't expect to be selling out of stuff, right? But to know that this amount puts you in 10% is crazy. It's crazy to me. So shout out to y'all for doing that. C Pool with the super chat says, don't be surprised to see QB. To see QB, Kafka is a known QB development. Holmes credited with his development. He was brought in for Dart, who sang his praises. Okay. All right. Well, let's make that the first order of business. So the Detroit Lions, they bring in Mike Kafka in an undisclosed high-ranking official offensive role. We still don't know what his role is. And if you guys don't know, that news was brought to our attention yesterday. This is coming 1 week later, or 1 week exactly after we hired Drew Petzing, which the internet had an absolute fit. And it's funny how people love this hire. They love the Mike Kafka hire. But when I made the Mike Kafka video, it didn't get a lot of love. So Lions fans are weird to me. But to me, this is a strategic move. This is a move telling us that, in my opinion, Dan Campbell is not confident in Drew. That's just what it is. And maybe they have something else up their sleeve. But Dan Campbell, we've said this before, Dan Campbell understands that he cannot get this wrong. So we're also hearing rumors that the Detroit Lions maybe met with a quarterback over the past weekend or week or so. And I want to say that if that is the case, then I don't know how to feel about that. So Kafka is a known like a quarterback coach. And he's been credited with the development of a few QBs. Lions taking a quarterback. How do you feel about that? I'll tell you exactly how I feel. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. We are not in a position to take a quarterback. We were a few years ago. We are not now. If you're thinking about Jared Goff's successor, you might as well forget about it. And don't even go there, because we have so many more things to worry about than a quarterback. First of all, you have a quarterback that the cap hit is insane. Your potential out is not for another 2 seasons. So if you were to take a quarterback this draft, why would you do that? When there's a couple things in play here. One, Jared Goff, there's no way out of his contract. He has a no trade clause, so you're not going to dump him off on somebody. There's no way out of his contract for the next 2 seasons. Okay, so that's that. To correlate with that, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell currently only have 2 years left on their deal. So if you're thinking about it, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and Jared Goff all are connected. Jared Goff is technically here longer than Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, because the year that there is a potential out for Jared Goff, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell will not be currently on the regime of this team. Okay. And I say that currently because their contracts expire the year that they have a potential out heading into that year. So what could happen is a new regime comes in, they would draft a quarterback, they would use Jared Goff as a bridge on that last year of his deal, and then they would proceed with the new quarterback. If they take a quarterback, I'm going to feel some type of way. We are not in a position to take a quarterback right now. And if you were going to take a quarterback in the next 2 seasons, why did you extend Jared Goff, give him a no trade clause, make it where there was not a way out until you are no longer here? Because think about this. Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, and Brad Holmes, they all earned the extension at the same time. Sheila extended Brad and Dan after the NFC Championship game. That was going into year 4, a.k.a. the last year of Jared Goff's contract. He just got finished with his new money. He just got finished with year 1 of new money. When we inherited Jared Goff, we inherited his entire contract, which was 4 years. We extended him after 3. He started his new money this year. There's no potential out until 2 seasons from now. And in 3 seasons, he's no longer a Detroit Lion unless they move forward with another contract. I do not like the idea of taking a quarterback, not now. You have much too much to worry about. You need a left tackle. You might need a right tackle, depending on what happens at left tackle. You need a center. You need a revamped defensive line. You need a few linebackers. You need some secondary players. You don't know what's going to happen. Out of the 4 secondary players that you have starting, 3 of them are on injured reserve, are coming back from injury. One of them, we have no idea if he's ever going to be the same. I mean, who knows? Kirby Joseph might not even play. We don't know that. We could get a breaking news that he's done. Brian Branch, we don't know when he's going to come back. It could be the end of the year. He could potentially miss an entire year. The goal would be for him to start the season. Then you have Terrion Arnold. He should be good to go come training camp, but who knows? He's going into year 3. We don't know who he is and what we're going to get out of him. So we're probably going to need some secondary players somewhere in the draft or free agency. Let's not forget that you gave up some draft picks for Isaac Tesla. So you painted yourself in a corner. And if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell think that we have the resources to invest in a quarterback through the draft, that to me is a sign. Because what's going to happen? That quarterback is not going to take out Jared Goff. You can't get rid of Jared Goff even if you wanted to. The only way you could get rid of Jared Goff, is to pull a Russell Wilson and cut him. Would you guys like that as a Lions fan? Would you like that? Jared Goff has a no trade clause in his contract, but he can get cut. We can get cut. So what would be the point to me of drafting a quarterback in a year that you need to win and you have limited resources due to $1 billion? Your cap is capped. You've limited your cap resources. with no restructures. You've limited your trade value, your trade capital, because you traded for Isaac Tesla and others. And now you are going to take a quarterback. So if you do take a quarterback, that means that every other hole on the team is filled. And if that's the case, then fine. If we have a D-line, if we have linebackers, if the secondary is secure, the center is secure, the left or right tackle is secure, then draft away. If you take a seventh round quarter, fine, go ahead. You want to take an undrafted rookie free agent? Fine, go ahead. But if you take a quarterback, you're telling, to me, I don't understand how that's possible. If Brad Holmes thinks that we are in a position, you know what a quarterback pick is right now? A luxury pick. That is the conversation that we would be having. A luxury pick. We are not in a position to draft a quarterback. Those days are over. They are at least a year or two away. Because, check this out. Here's the kick in the head, the nail in the coffin. If Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell were to take a quarterback in 2026, who's to say that quarterback is going to ever play for the Detroit Lions in a starting role? Because in 2 years, when their contract is up, Jared Goff, they have a potential out. If a new regime is brought in here, Jared Goff is either going to be A, cut, and they're going to use that potential out, or B, they're going to use him as a bridge quarterback. And if the quarterback that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell drafted is so good, now we're talking about going into year 4, and now that quarterback is starting in a Jordan Love situation, in a Aaron Rodgers situation. So unless you got the next Aaron Rodgers who's going to sit behind somebody for 3 years, why would you do that? And you're also saying that you believe that we have all the pieces in place, and now we can draft a luxury pick at quarterback. Brad Holmes has only drafted one quarterback in his 5 years as Detroit Lions general manager. It would surprise me. I'll tell you what, if we don't take a quarterback in free agency, then there's probably going to be a quarterback on the back end. But look at those guys. How many Brock Purdy's do you get? How many times, remember Brad Kaya, Jake Ruddock? Y'all remember those guys? They didn't really work out either, and that was in the previous regime. So Dan Campbell said it. Brad Holmes said it. It's a lot easier to get worse at quarterback than it is to get better. So I wouldn't be so sure that the Lions are going to draft a quarterback. But if they do, they're telling you that they believe in the team that they have. And if they fall short, it's going to be some heads to roll. That's for sure. Let me know what you think. So Braylon says, if we draft the QB this year, we're done. I'm done. Let me see. Seapool says, Jay Smooth, I know, don't be surprised if something silly like QB. If Brad Holmes, he will end up drafting. If it's Brad Holmes, he will end up drafting 2 CBs. I feel it, though. What up, Midwest? Says, Derek, you and I know we need an edge to complement Hutch. Hakeem Mizendor is our guy. You should look into him. He's a stud. Who does he play for? Could be a steal in the draft in the second round. If we draft the QB, okay, I think Seapool just wants a QB. We can't now grab a QB. Holmes failed to address both lines in the last 2 drafts with a terrible pick. But knowing Holmes, he's a wild card. If he drafts a QB, bro, like, I mean, Brad, we talked about this. It has to be flawless. You understand? Absolutely flawless. The draft and free agency. One buckle, bro, and he's done. Like, Brad Holmes is done if he fails. Oh, those are sirens. Midwest says, nope, it would be stupid. Golf is definitely not the problem. The lack of an experienced GM is our pride. He doesn't know how to fill needs on a football team. Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Sam Darnold all drafted in the same year, but Sam is the first one to reach a Super Bowl. Wow. Okay, so it was Miami. Okay, they got a lot of dogs on their team, bro. I was like, man, I think if they would have gone against anybody else, I think they win. I mean, I was watching Miami, and I think it was, who was it, Oregon? Somebody, man, they were stifling them. It was crazy. Anyone else seen the script getting leaked? NFL posted a graphic back in September. I think it showed each player on the team. Drake, man, Sam Darnold was at the front. Yes, I did see that, bro. I did see that. I saw that. What up, Aaron? What's up? You good, bro? You good. He's better than Bane, honestly. Gotta go Caleb Lamu with the first pick. Okay, so we got that out the way. And now I want to talk about something else as well. Let me make sure I have it queued up. All right. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, they are in a must-win year, in my opinion. Sheila Hemp, nobody knows what Sheila Hemp, what she is expecting of this team. We went over her letter. We know, and to me, like I said, I have no reason to doubt her. She hasn't given me one. She's hired the right guys. She's gotten out of the way. She doesn't pry. She doesn't stick her nose where it's not supposed to be because, she doesn't know ball. She doesn't know ball. I think you and I know more ball than her. She writes the checks. She knows that one thing, Sheila Hemp sees win a Super Bowl. That's all she cares about. She's going to me, I don't have a problem with her. Not yet. There are things that she could probably do. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell not getting extended, to me, says a lot. It says a lot. The fact that they earned their first extension, it says a lot. But we know, in my opinion, that that the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. The Detroit Lions need a sense of urgency. And I am wondering, with the hiring of Mike Kafka a week after hiring Drew Petzing, the internet had a meltdown. Now they're like, we love this hire. Oh my God, we're going to have the best, that they going to work well together and blah, blah. We don't even know why Mike was brought in. His role is a high-ranking offensive staff role. We don't even know what his role is going to be. Could he be piggybacking? Could he be calling ghost plays? Could he be the ghost play caller? We don't know what he's going to be, but I look at it as him being here, Dan Campbell is taking his job seriously. Speaking of Dan Campbell, he had a friend of his, a former Detroit Lions coach, defensive coordinator, had his first year with the Jets, had a horrendous year, took him forever to win a game, has completely gutted his entire staff. Coming from Ian Rappaport, the Jets are parting ways with offensive coordinator Tanner Eggstrand per me and Tom Pelissero. Why is this a big deal? This is a big deal for several reasons. One, Tanner joins a long list of staff members to be cut by Aaron. Everybody's fired but him. Everyone is fired. Tanner Eggstrand was a person that was believed to be Ben Johnson's successor as Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. Now, we don't know how that would have worked out. I can't really judge Tanner because you had Tyrod Taylor, you had Justin Fields. You didn't have a lot that you were working with as far as quarterback play. Can't really judge him. But what I saw from Aaron Glenn, it reminded me of what we were going through with Dan Campbell. And would Dan Campbell ever be the person to gut or fire somebody to save his job? Would he do that? Because go back to 2022. Lions start 1-6. Defense is trending the worst defense of all time through seven weeks. We were on pace to give up over 600 points by the end of a 17-game season, according to ESPN Matt predictor, like their stat predictor, their points predict had the worst defense. And we ended the 2022 NFL season with the 32nd defense. That's how bad our defense was. It was one of those years. I could be wrong. Maybe it was 28, 29, but one of those years, it was the worst defense. We fired Aubrey Pleasant, who's doing very well in LA. Aubrey then joins the staff of the Green Bay Packers. I can't remember. I think that played out. Then Sean McVay brought him on to the LA Rams, and he's been there ever since. Aubrey Pleasant was a good coach. He was a scapegoat is what he was, because our defensive coordinator was the one that survived. And we've been saying this for years. Can Dan Campbell ever cut ties with somebody that he cares about? Aaron Glenn said, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. Fired everybody. And it's funny because the Jets leadership, they came out and said, we believe in what Aaron Glenn is doing. We have no intentions of moving on. And they might have said that, but they might have added something else too. You don't fire your entire staff. Everybody. Aaron Glenn is like the last man standing. He needs a new OC. He needs a ton of people. All you've been hearing about is the Jets releasing coach after coordinator after staff member. Would Dan Campbell ever be able to do that? Now bring it back to the Lions. Now you go, Lions like to promote a lot of people in-house. I don't know if Tanner Ekstrand, I'm like, I don't know. Ben Johnson, just because Tanner was the tight end coach or whatever he was over here, that he was going to be the next Ben Johnson. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. And the Lions did that, didn't really work out. We'll see how it works out. We didn't get one OC, we got two. So we'll see how it works out this time. But would Kelvin Shepherd, would Dan Campbell be able to move on from Kelvin Shepherd? It seemed like he took everything possible. He did everything possible not to fire Aaron Glenn. He fired two OCs, or no, one OC. He fired one OC. And Aaron Glenn was still standing. After all of those years, all of the ways that our defense was never top 15, ever. It was in the bottom 10, almost like every year. Every year, I think 3 out of the 4 years, we were like 29, 32, something else, some 18, 19, somewhere around there. So it was always in the bottom 15. I don't think our defense was ever higher than 17, to be honest with you. So do you guys think that Dan Campbell would ever be able to do what Aaron Glenn did? And I'm wondering, like, wow, how come Aaron Glenn could do that, but Dan Campbell didn't? Do you think it's loyalty? Do you think he actually believed in him? Because let's be clear about this. Aaron Glenn was the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He decides both former coordinators poach people from the Lions. You had Ben Johnson, did Antoine Randall and others. The Aaron Glenn took Tanner, made him his OC, because we were talking about it. And one of the things that I think happened is Tanner was maybe hoping that he would get the OC job here. He didn't. He went over there with Aaron Glenn to be an OC, because an OC or a DC is how you're going to become a head coach. That is the clear path to being a head coach. Scotty Montgomery, he's now interviewing for an OC role with the Ravens, I believe it is. That's your clear path to a coach. I wonder, is there any non-defensive or offensive coordinator, any like quarterback coach or tight ends coach that's been promoted to a head coach? Like, how many times does that happen? So Tanner was going to take that job, because if he did well, then he could be in the next coaching cycle. And you never know, man, because one day the Detroit Lions coaching cycle could be available. Like, that would be available. We had 10 or 11 positions this season, couple step downs, some fires. We had this had to be a record of available positions. Like a quarter of the league, a third of the league teams were available, essentially. You're going to get a job. So would Dan Campbell be ready to do that? Because outside of, like, he didn't even fire Anthony Lynn. He just demoted him. He didn't fire John Morton. He demoted him. The only person that I recall getting fired was Arby Pleasant. And he was fired because Aaron Glenn was supposed to be. Aaron Glenn was the one that was supposed to be fired. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that Dan Campbell could ever do what Aaron Glenn has done? I mean, fire an entire staff, let alone one person. I don't know, man. I don't know. AG also benched a Pro Bowler I won in Detroit, Quincy Williams. Quincy Williams? Quentin Williams? Quentin Williams? But Quentin Williams is on the Cowboys now, right? Who's Quincy Williams? Dan Campbell was only a tight end coach, and then he hired by the Lions. Rod Marinelli was only a linebacker coach, then hired by Matt Millen. Ah, there you go. Right in front of my face, bro. Oh, his brother? We need to fire the entire strength and conditioning staff. Yeah, that wouldn't be the first time. Didn't we fire one already? Or is that under Matt Patricia? Let me see. Harold, I think his name was Harold Nash. Let me look him up. Man. I think his name was Harold Nash, because he was on, I think he was the strength and conditioning coach when we did Hard Knocks. Okay, Harold Nash Jr. He was no, he was fired. He was under the Matt Patricia regime, 2016 to 2019. You know when I think we fired him? So he's been with the Dallas Cowboys since leaving the Detroit Lions. You know what I think we fired? I think we fired him after the 2019 season. Because remember in 2019, we had like a ridiculous amount of players on IR. Stafford, that's when Stafford had his back fragments. Oh, by the way, I can't believe I missed this yesterday. Yesterday was 6 years since we lost Kobe Bryant and the folks on the helicopter. I couldn't even believe that, man. I'm like, yo, I wow. So it wasn't until I saw a YouTube video and it was like on this day. So and it was, well, I didn't know it said on this day, but it was like a video that was released 20 minutes ago. And it was like Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter crash. And I'm like, what is this? What are these people doing? You know, that happened years ago. And then I clicked on it and I was like, yo, it's been 6 years, man, which is, wow, crazy that it's been that long. Hey, Lori. Hey, Lori. So yeah, he got fired after, so it wasn't Hard Knocks. Where did I see him at? He did some type of interview or whatever. And yeah, so he's been the Dallas Cowboy strength and conditioning coach since 2020. So for the last 6 years. And he still is there. So yeah. Let me see. Aaron Glenn has a shorter fuse for foolery, PG-13 word than Dan Campbell. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, he seems like that type of guy as well, because he's like the same head coach as he was and a defensive coordinator. So I don't know, man. But yeah, Lions got some work to do, man. They got some work to do, and I am. So how are we feeling about the bringing in Mike Kafka? How are we feeling about that? And I saw Mike McDaniel's opening presser for the Chargers. So I saw something today. I don't know the legitimacy of this, so I will. No, I don't know if this is. Okay. No, this is okay. This is cap. This is cap. Okay. I had to really sit on it, but this is cap. Who is this? Man, these little Facebook groups, man. You ever seen those Facebook groups that just spread cap? Like they be spreading absolute cap. We need a fourth. Let me see. We need a fourth down and 2-point specialist. What? What you mean, play caller? Play caller wise? Is that what you're talking about? All right. So it was something that I was supposed to talk about on Friday, but we will talk about it today, and then that will be the show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the show, even in the off season. We're going to pick up. This is the first time I've actually done this in, like right after the season has been over. I've been more consistent November, December, and now January. And it's tough being a one-man show. It really is. And we've got things that we're trying to do and stuff like that. But I am committed to this thing. Like, I've been having more fun on this channel than on Lions Syndicate, tell you the truth. All right, Derek. All right, chat. I'm out. Better Lions. Lions better be in the bowl next season. Okay. Hey, we got a long time before that happens, bro. So we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about in the meantime. But what we'll talk about today is the free agents. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. But enjoy the rest of your day, my man. Okay. Nope. Let me look. We need to go NFL, and then we are going to do free agents. Here we go. That's what I wanted to see. Come on now. All right. There we go. Let me blow this up. All righty. All right. The Detroit Lions are not working with a lot going into the 2026 NFL season. This is a make or break. If you ask me, the make or break has already passed, if that makes sense. 2025 was make or break for me. And we broke. We broke. And now the 2026 season is a fix-it season. And then if it can't, it's a repair season. If we can't repair it, we could be looking for a new regime in some capacity. Sheila said it was time to evolve, refocus, and move forward. And in 2 years, this could be a different conversation. A year from now, it could be a different conversation. So I believe in Sheila. I think that and I believe in her because she's given me no reason not to. If you want to break down Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, Brad has had his hits, he's had his misses, and his misses have been his misses. And then he's out, just quite frankly, ignored certain things. Ignored them. Then you have Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is responsible for the two offensive coordinator hires and both had to be demoted mid-season. He also is responsible for not taking points and stuff like that. So in my be right back. All right, y'all. That is busted, bro. I was like recording a segment. So you know what's funny is, so my son needed my help with something, and I was sitting and it was anyway. So all right. Okay, where was I? What was I talking about? I didn't forgot. And I was making a segment, but I didn't forgot. No, I wasn't taking a deuce. It was something, my son needed my help, and I had to help him. So I'm not if I had to take a dump, I would, cut to commercial. So that's not what it is. Free agents. Thank you. All right. See, my videos are off the dome, right? So I usually have a starting point, and now I've kind of like lost what I was doing, and I just kind of go with the flow. But I know I was talking about Sheila and Brad and all this other stuff. All right, let me get myself together, man. I gotta get ready for action to be called. All right. Y'all nasty. Y'all are some nasty people, man. All right. I think I was talking about Dan Campbell, him being out of time, not having a lot of time to do it, and sign willing to cover Metcalf. Fair enough. If we draft a QB in the first 2 or 3 years, I hope it's Austin Simmons after a breakout year in Mizzou. Derek, when are you going to play my voicemail? Oh, yeah, that's right, man. If you send me something if you call after air, I typically forget about them. So I got the system hooked up. I'll play it today. Okay, so it looks like that the new Titans offensive coordinator is going to be Brian Dable. He has committed to become their new offensive coordinator. So that looks like that's what's going to happen. Okay, all right. Brad left. Let me see. Left so I can slap Brad Holmes upside his head. Okay. Yeah, because you know what? I don't listen to any voicemails off air so I can remember, because once you play them, they're like played, and they'll go from like bold white to like off white. So I work nights. I'm a driver like you used to. So okay. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. He threw me all off. He was supposed to be doing something at 4. So he thought it was 4:30. And I told him over and over, I said, it's 4. And, he's kind of guilty of not paying attention, or he'll quickly forget about something if he doesn't make a mental note of it. I'm the same way, but I kind of had this feeling that he wasn't supposed, and it's something that is important, that it wasn't happening. So, all right. Let me see. It's contingent on if he gets the Raiders job. Okay. All right. So we'll do another segment, and then we will, I'll bring in your voicemail, and then we'll wrap up the show. I wish I could cut that part out, but if I cut it out, I'll lose the chat. If you edit a live stream, you lose the entire chat, so we won't even risk doing that. All right, the Lions have a lot of work to do. They have so much work to do in so little time. I think I was going before as 2025. I had been stated for months that it was a make or break year, and I think in terms of were the Lions going to fire their management or their regime, they weren't. But it was a make or break in the sense of this is going to be the definitive year for the Detroit Lions. And I think that they broke. It wasn't a make year, it was a break year. This team is broken, and it's broken in a lot of ways. We've lost coordinators. We have had an offensive coordinator demoted. Now we have another one. We have essentially 2 offensive coordinators. So I wonder how that's going to play out. But with it being the last 2 years of this regime and their current contract, they know what they have at stake. And the Lions need a lot of repair. And in front of your eyes, the team went from a juggernaut to kind of on the outside looking in. And now they got a lot of work to do. Do they need and we're going to be saying this until we know what the outcome is going to be. Taylor Decker, is he going to retire? If he does, that creates a void at left tackle. If that happens, will Penei Sewell move to left tackle? If he does, we need a right tackle. We've already seen and heard that center we have to get a center. Brad Holmes said that he doesn't see Tate being the center. So we're going to need a center. Are we going to get that center in free agency or the draft? We have limited draft picks. Now, Brad has shined before with limited draft picks back in 2021 when he was coming off of being the director of scouting. So, but that's all he was doing. So he aced it. He knocked it out of the park. Can we have another draft like that? We have to have another draft like that. That's why, to me, talking about a quarterback in 2026, drafting one is ridiculous, because that means that every other hole on the Detroit Lions is filled, that we can take a luxury pick with a quarterback. So with what the team being broken and the things that need to be fixed, what are Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes going to do? We haven't really done anything, any power move in free agency. What were the best free agent signings that you think that we've had? I mean, you could say probably DJ Reader. You could say, would you say DJ Reed is a great signing? We traded for players. We did that. But our free agency has been lackluster. For 4 years, I've been sitting in front of this computer the second week in March, going live, waiting on something to happen. And we make a whimper. That's what we do. Now, it was working before because Brad was acing the draft. But you can see when he started not to ace the draft and you compile that with what he's done in free agency, this team has fallen short. Didn't get a playoff win in 2024, didn't make the playoffs in 2025. They got a lot of work to do, not a ton of resources, both in cap space and in draft capital. But free agents, what are the Detroit Lions going to do? They have some of their own guys are going to become free agents soon as the new league year begins in about 6 weeks. Alex Anzalone, DJ Reader. Now, the Lions can sign their own guys right now. If you are part of the team or were part of the team last year, you can be re-signed. But if you are on another team, you can't. So Alex Anzalone, Lions are probably not going to re-sign him. DJ Reader, not going to re-sign him. Are we going to bring back Marcus Davenport, Malcolm Rodriguez? Here are the top free agents. According to Spot Track, there are 776 free agents that will be available in about 6 weeks. And here, put in the comments below, before I show you this, according to Spot Track, who do you think is the number one free agent? Who do you think? The number one free agent is Trey Hendrickson. Now, you'll see what I believe that their market value is, if I was to minimize this, I think their market value would appear. Yeah, there it is. So I got to minimize this so you guys can see what their market value is. And it is over here, I believe that's what that is, their market value. Or I can click here and see what their market value is. So let's do a market value. If we go by market value, who are the Detroit Lions going to get? But let's go back to what were we before? Let's go to what we were before. Well, that was not it. So we will quickly get back there. Let's go NFL, and then we will do free agents. There we go. I knew that back button was going to come bite me in the butt. All right. So if we look at this list here, let's blow it up. Let's blow it back up so we all can see it, because I swear you can't. We'll do 150. All right. So these are the people that's going to be free agents. You can go by position, you can go by age, you can go by years, all that stuff, right? So Trey Hendrickson, Mike Evans, I saw some names on this list, and I said, so Khalil Mack is a guy, and this was his previous contract. As soon as we get rid of this ad, this was his previous contract. Remember, he got an extension. Now Khalil Mack will be 35 years old. He's on the cusp of 35. Deebo Samuel, Braden Smith, Travis Kelce, Jonah Williams. These guys, there are some decent names on this list. But are the Detroit Lions going to try to make their team better? In the comments, give me a position you want me to look at. Give me a position. I'll narrow it down by position, and we go from there. Do you want me to do center? I could do center. Let's do center, since the Lions need a center. And these are going to be the top centers. And we can go by, you want to go by age? Let's go by, center by age. So we have Connor McGovern, Buffalo Bills. He's going to be a free agent. Ethan Pollack, Ryan Bates, Cade Mays, Tyler Linderbaum. These are going to be your free agent centers because the Detroit Lions are going to need one. So when it comes to Detroit, are they going to do what they need to do? There are some names out there that we can get. And look, Lions are, like I said, they're in trouble. The Lions are in trouble because you're going to have to balance future with now, age with youth, and monetary compensation. You're going to have to do that. The Lions, as of right now, with no restructures, they are not working with a ton. If Taylor Decker retires, he'll clear up some cap space, but he'll also create a void. So unless you're going to replace that void in the draft on a cheap contract, you're going to have to spew out some money, right? If we move Penei Sewell to left tackle, we're going to need a right tackle. Now, the good news about the right tackle, that's not Jared Goff's blind side, but hey, you get hit from the right to the left, you still get hit. One you see coming, one you don't, right? So what are the Lions going to do? The number one agent, the top free agent, is Trey Hendrickson. He's a top free agent. I just don't know if the Lions are going to try to make that move. I don't. Because they're not working with a ton. Brad Holmes has already stated that he's not going to change significantly. So I'm not sure what awaits this team. I can tell you this. For the first time in 2 years, I'm not excited. I just don't have the excitement because I'm a wait and see when it comes to piecing this team together. From losing our OC to our defense being exactly where it was when Aaron Glenn left to the key players that we're going to need. Before we end, I want to show you who is on the Detroit Lions roster. That's what I want you to see. Who's on the Detroit Lions roster? Who are their free agents? Let's go Amik Robertson. He's also a free agent. And then we will specifically go to Detroit Lions. And you can tell, like our current team, there's no reason to be excited. Our team as it is no reason to be excited. Here is what the Detroit Lions 2026 season is looking like. Total cap, we are 6th. This is from highest to lowest. So we are 6th highest in the National Football League. This is, as you can see up here, the 2026 season. Total cap space, negative $7 million. Negative $7 million. Now, I don't know if this is with the increase or without it, because every year the salary goes up by a selected amount. So I'm not sure if this is with that or without it. There's our dead cap. If we look at our active roster, so we had 37 or 36 players before we resign people to future deals and exclusive rights contract. So now that 36 is up to 50. Okay. Now these players are players that are also with voided years. So you can see up here, this would entail, if it is orange, it is a voided year. So we have two people that I know for sure is Alex Anzalone and DJ Reader. Those two players have voided years. So they are not on our team, but they're part of the contract due to those voided years. Let's go by position. And we'll do from the top to the bottom. Our center, Graham Glasgow, Sean McLaughlin. This is not a roster to be excited about at all. If we go to wide receivers, let's go from the bottom up. Wide receivers, we have Jackson Meeks, Malik Cunningham, Dominic Levitt, Isaac Tesla, Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. As quiet as it's kept, the Lions could use a receiver too. They could use a receiver. Khalif Raymond, I don't think is coming back. So there's a lot of pieces that we can still use. When we go to, let's look at tight end. We have Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, and Zach Horton. Who's missing from this? Shane Zylstra is missing from this. The Lions have a ton of work to do. And as you can see up here, they don't have a lot that they're working with. So if Taylor Decker was to go, he would create some cap space. But how much would he create? What will the Lions do with it? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself this offseason. So I have no, let's go to cap hit. Let's go to cap hit before we conclude this. If we go to cap hit, because somebody mentioned restructure. Here are the top cap hits for the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aleem McNeil, Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker. So here's the funny thing. In the past 2 seasons, or 2 or 3 seasons, all of these people have been extended. Taylor Decker, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, Aleem McNeil, all of them were extended like in the past 2 years. Then you have an outsider that we brought in DJ Reed. Then you have Aiden Hutchinson. So somebody asked me, does Aiden count toward the billion? I believe that he does. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Oh, I forgot Aiden is going into his 5th year contract, so he's not even on the new money yet. And it was funny, by the end of the year, nobody was complaining about the Aiden Hutchinson contract. Hutch was like top 5 in sacks. He led our team by 3.5. Derek Barnes, Graham Glasgow, he's going to be gone, so he's going to save us some money, right? Lions, I'm telling you, man, if these people at the top don't create some space, who will? How are we going to get it? How are we going to get that space? So Lions got a lot of work to do. That's why, like I said, drafting a quarterback to me is ridiculous. That's a luxury pick. That is probably another, because even if you took a quarterback in the 7th round, you're saying that your team is secure. Every position on, if the Lions take a quarterback, every position on their team is secure. Like, real talk. And you're going to have to take get a backup quarterback from somewhere. So if the Lions were to take a quarterback, it has to be in the late rounds. It got to be. Because either you're going to re-sign Kyle Allen, you're going to reach out to a Malik Willis or something like that and try to upgrade at that position, which is probably going to cost you, or you're going to draft a late round pick. But you have no 3rd round pick. You got to knock it out of the park with your 1st, 2nd, and 4th. So where are you going to get this quarterback at? I'm sure there are more pressing needs than a backup quarterback or drafting a quarterback, period. So you let me know, how do you expect the Lions? Are you excited about the 2026 season? The Lions have given me no reason to be. This is not 2024 or 2025, coming off an NFC Championship game or 15-2, which was devastating, the way that we lost. I just don't see where you are getting excited about this team. Now, we can have a different conversation on May 1st when Brad and Dan aced free agency in the draft. But now you see the Lions they have 0 margin for error. They have to bat 99%. Their shooting percentage got to be 99. They can only miss 1 shot. Every 10 shots they take, they have to hit 9. Because we are not working with a lot. So let me know what you think. All right. Okay, so Lori asked a great question. Can you go over the cap? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you go over the cap, as a matter of fact, let's have another segment. Because that is a great question, Lori. I know the answer, but I want to make sure I convey it the right way. What happens... Okay, what happens if you go over the cap in the NFL? So you can go over the cap, but it's something like this. For every day you're over the cap, you get like fined some money. So you get docked or something like that. And if you go, if it's for too long or something like that, you can lose draft compensation. So that's what I understood it to be. Let me make sure that it is correct. All right. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let me see. Braylon says, I'm not really excited. Brad really put the team into a tough spot. And he really did. You know what's crazy? For like all the praise that Brad Holmes gets, if you're a general manager and you like, I don't envy any general manager, and especially Brad Holmes. I don't envy him at all. He's got a massive responsibility. He's tasked with turning us into a Super Bowl champion. Not just any team, the Detroit Lions. All the history that comes with us, the 92 years, the 60 years of no Super Bowl, the 30 years of no playoff wins, the 20-something years of no division titles. He inherited all of that. I don't feel sorry for him in the sense of that's what he took on. And he gets paid, he gets compensated pretty nicely too. But I'm like, he's got a lot of work to do. And everybody was kind of, when he was, because guess what? Listen. Oh, yo, I just thought about this. We did all of that talking about, are you excited about the Detroit Lions? Guess what I didn't mention? Can anybody put it in the comment section? During that entire segment, what didn't I mention? It's very specific, and it's specific to players on our team. I know that's broad, but I want you guys, I want to know how locked in you are. What is happening, or what can happen in 2026 that I didn't mention that will affect our salary cap? Somebody put it in the comments. Dern says, might have to trade back into the late 20s to get a third rounder. That should make you even more concerned for what the Lions' future is going to be. Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes might be in over his head. Nope. I don't think you guys are going to guess this. We talked about the salary cap. We talked about what happens next year. We talked about what didn't I mention that could happen this year? It's very specific to the salary cap. All right, nobody's going to guess this. So there you go. Aaron got it. All the re-signings, the extensions we have to do. The fact that Jahmyr Gibbs is up for an extension. The fact that Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, but I'm talking about the first rounders. The fact that we have people we haven't paid yet. I would be surprised if Holmes can sleep at night. I'm not even lying. I'm not trying to be funny. I would be having nightmares. How am I going to fix this? Decker retired? Wait, Decker retired? Come on, Boogie. Come on, dog. Y'all can't be saying stuff. If you got to put a question mark behind stuff like that, because I'm thinking something just happened. No, you good, bro. You good. See, that's the thing with text, man. I don't know. So when y'all say stuff, I don't know. All right. So Mon, what up, big dog? Says 5th-year option on both. Okay. All right. Now, let me ask you a question. This about to get giddy. And I still got to bring in the voicemail. But this about to be, Brad Holmes, cheeks is clenched. His cheeks is puckered up, bro, because he got to figure this out. Okay, check it out. If you're the Detroit Lions, right? What do you think if you're Brad Holmes? Who are you in competition with when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs? Y'all not going to guess it, so I'm going to tell you. Bijan Robinson. Both of them cats are up to get paid. And so if you're Brad Holmes, what do you want to do? If you're Jahmyr Gibbs and his representation, what do you want to do? Now, I think that slightly Bijan Robinson is the better back. I believe that because I see why he went early. I see how he went earlier than Gibbs. It wasn't by a big spread, but number 1, number 2 for sure, okay? Watching the Atlanta Falcons, watching the way that they use Bijan, the way that you could count on him to run the football and to receive the football, I think that running the football, he's up there with Christian McCaffrey. Like, he might even be better than Christian McCaffrey running the football, okay? Then I think it's Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I think Jahmyr Gibbs can be better than McCaffrey, but that's just my opinion, okay? So if you're, so think about this. Think about the, Brad, bro, how is he going to fix, okay, you're Brad Holmes. You're Brad Holmes. How are you going to fix this? What are you going to do? Are you going to, if you wait and you say, you know what, Jahmyr Gibbs, we in a sticky situation, bro. We gonna wait to extend you, right? We talk about it, but right now we gonna pick up your 5th-year option. If you're Jahmyr Gibbs, you're like, okay, all right, cool. I'm gonna see what's happening with Bijan. So then, if you're Jahmyr Gibbs, do you wait on Bijan or do you sign early? If you're Brad Holmes, do you wait on Bijan or do you sign early? One of the reasons we locked up Jamison Williams is for price. One of the reasons we locked up Aiden Hutchinson is he was coming off a injury. So we locked him up because had Hutch continued to play, he would have got up there with Parsons. He would have been up there with Myles Garrett. Like, he would have been up there, like that type of deal, right? So if you're Brad Holmes, what do? You gotta sign. And look, Jack Campbell gonna make some money too. Ooh, Brad Cheeks is clinched, bro, because this is going to be tough. How do you fix this? How do you fix this? Aaron says Gibbs is better in open space, not in the inline scrimmage. And see, I think Gibbs is also faster, in my opinion. But watching the Atlanta Falcons, I'm like, it seems like if Gibbs gets touched, he is typically wrapped up, right? To me, Bijan is just, I don't know. If you would have asked me a month ago, 2 months ago, I would have said, but because I didn't really see too many Atlanta Falcons games, but then I started seeing them, and I'm like, oh, I see why. I see why. Okay. Gibbs is not a running back. He's a weapon. 4 years, 400 million, 70, 4 years, 100 million. Come on, dog. Come on. Seriously? Are we seriously doing that? Gibbs needs to learn blocking. I agree. No. Trading Gibbs is not an option. That's not happening. But that's not happening. Just resign and let someone else figure it out. 3-year window, like a running back with a second option after another payday. Okay, so Mon says Jameer gonna get paid. You sign Jack first, get him out the way. Then you sign Branch and Laporta. Okay, so Mon, how do you fix the team? Here's what we're gonna do tomorrow. I need to write this down because we are on overtime now. But I want to know, how is what we just looked at? According to Spot Track, the Lions are $7 million under the cap with nothing happening. I'm sorry, $7 million over the cap with nothing happening. So with that $7 million, they have to create space. Now, you'll probably create that space if you cut people who were under contract. Graham Glasgow could be cut, right? Taylor Decker could be cut. So the Lions will probably cut some people with existing contracts. Then you have voided years. You have people like Khalif Raymond that are not under contract. You got people like Malcolm Rodriguez, DJ Reader, Amik Robertson. You got those people that are not under contract. I don't know if they have any void years. I don't think the Lions have too many. I know DJ Reader and Alex Anzalone. I think Brad pushed all of his money to this year. All of that 1.2 that he got, I think is all this year. So how do we fix this? How do we fix this? What up, TM? We can create $100 million with restructuring. Okay, so question. Does the player have to agree to the restructure? Do they have to agree to that, or is it totally team dependent? Campbell priority, trade Laporta. Would I trade Gibbs for money and picks? I wouldn't, because if we did that, now we have no running game. We have no running game. And the reason I say that is because Monty is him, but I just wouldn't want to. Then you have to replace. I like the combination that we have. I think it's too early to be talking about that. Okay, so we're saying if a player has to agree to a restructure, what if these players don't do that? What if these players do not agree to a restructure? Sam Laporta could be the odd man out. He's going to cost the most. But wait a minute now. We hired a dude who runs 13 personnel. So why would we do that? So now what we're going to do is have a bunch of cheap. Somebody was talking about Isaiah Likely. I forgot to talk about him again. We got to push him to tomorrow. I need somebody to remind me tomorrow to talk about Isaiah Likely, because people keep talking about Isaiah Likely, and I got to remember. I think they will if they want to win. The only guy I would trade is Kirby. We're not trading Sam. We just hired a guy to make him blossom. It's not like they losing money. All right. So here is a question. Woo. Hey, I'm just trying to figure out, how do they fix this? I would hate to be in this situation. I'm not going to lie. I would hate to be in a situation where I got to figure this out. But how do they fix this? How do the Lions fix this? See, it was cute. It was cute 2 years ago coming off that NFC Championship game. We had on top of the world. We signed Panay Sewell. He was the highest paid offensive lineman, I think, at the time. wide receiver. Amon-Ra was number 1. Now he's like number 8. And number one, making somebody the highest paid anymore really doesn't matter because you're the highest paid at that moment. I mean, look, 10 years ago, Matthew Stafford was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Look how far we've come, right? So for me, I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out, how do they pull this off? How do they pull this off? They're negative $7 million. You have to believe they're going to cut a few people. That's going to create some cap space. I don't know if the extra cap space is added in that negative $7 million or it's not added yet. And then maybe it's not, because I think there's no, like, it's determined every year what the cap goes up. All right, I got to refresh my browser, y'all. One of the things I have to do this year is I am going to hook up that computer that the big homie sent me. Hey. Okay. All right. We got a lot of stuff we could talk about, man. I need to write this stuff down because I would love to know, how would you feel if a player didn't restructure his contract? How would y'all feel if a player didn't restructure their contract? Brad should get the extension done before the season ended. If Houston fixed their QB, they in the Super Bowl next year. 3 restructures, salary cap bump, and roster moves. Okay, restructures. So who are the restructures? Goff, St. Brown, and Aleem. Is that what we're doing? Aleem is a bigger cap hit by almost $1 million than Penei Sewell. Is that what we're doing? Oh, okay. You can always use the franchise tag. Okay, who will we use the franchise tag on? And don't forget, the franchise tag, you're paying a ridiculous amount. It's not like a get out of jail free card. I'm not saying you saying that. But if the franchise tag come at a cost, it might be better to sign the person. Personally mad at, but business aspect, I would understand. All right, so let's do this. So Lori asked a good question in the comment section. She asked, what happens if you go over the salary cap? The Detroit Lions are in a bit of a pickle right now. According to Spot Track for 2026, right now, they are negative $7 million. Negative. It was negative 21 at one point. Now, I don't know if that's the cap bump. I don't know. That's with no restructures. That's with no current contracts being cut. The Lions are negative $7 million. What happens if they are over? It's a couple of things the Lions don't do, and they've never been known to do this. One is franchise tag people. 2 is be over the cap. There's not a lot of NFL teams that do it because there is a price that you pay. The Saints, a couple years ago, I'm not even kidding, were $100 million over the salary cap. They somehow, some way, worked it down and came underneath. It was insane. But what happens if you are over the cap? Well, this is coming from Google, and I believe that there's some hefty consequences that could come if you are over the cap in the NFL. It says if a team exceeds the hard salary cap, the league intervenes to force compliance, resulting in severe penalties. Consequences include fines up to $5 million per violation, cancellation or voiding of a player contract, and the loss of future draft picks. The team is also banned from signing new players until they are under the cap. So the Lions, don't worry, they will not remain over the cap or anything like that because we have not cut anybody yet, and those things are coming. Key consequences of exceeding the cap. Forced compliance. The NFL will not approve trades or contracts that put a team over the cap. If a team violates the cap, they must become compliant, or the league will void contracts starting with the most recent until they are under the limit. Now, just to touch off real quick, I don't know what happened with the Saints because I wasn't locked in with that, but it was a few years ago. It was like 2022, 2023, somewhere around there. They were $100 million over the cap. They did get under, and they cut some people to do so. You could probably research it and find out. Financial penalties. Teams can be fined up to $5 million for each violation. Loss of draft picks. The league may confiscate draft picks as punishment for a violation, such as when the San Francisco 49ers lost a 5th-round pick in 2025 due to previous accounting errors. Wow. Transaction ban. Teams over the cap cannot sign new players, restructure deals, or trade for players until they are back under the cap. So if this is saying you can't even restructure deals to get under, so this means that you have to cut people until you are under the cap, according to Google. Wow. I knew about the draft picks. I knew about the fines. And I think that there's also something, and this wasn't in there, and maybe I'm off with this, that there's like if you over the cap per day of the new league year or something, you'll get a fine. Maybe that's what that $5 million was. But teams over the cap. So if you are negative when it comes to the cap, you are over the cap. That's what that means. So I don't know if that, now, as far as the Lions being over the cap, I'm not worried about that because they will cut people. So what can we expect from the Lions this offseason? Players getting cut who will create cap space. I mean, Taylor Decker retiring is like a gift and a curse. It is good and bad. If Taylor Decker retires, he will create cap space, but he'll also create a left tackle void. So now the Detroit Lions have to refill that. But then Taylor Decker has lost several steps. I mean, he was false starting most of his career. Last year, it was really bad. I think he's going to retire. So he'll create some space there. So I don't think the Lions, you're going to have to worry about any of this stuff. But to know that you can't restructure to get under the cap is very intriguing according to Google. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that would be something if that is true. So you have to cut until you are underneath the cap. Then at that point, according to this information, you can restructure from there. So we'll probably get back under the cap by cutting folks. There are a handful of people that will not be Detroit Lions who are under contract to be Detroit Lions, but they won't be very, very soon. The Lions can also cut people before free agency begins. They can re-sign their players. Now, here is a question. So 2026, the league year has not officially started. So I wonder when that, could you restructure someone before that? So let's say that the Lions, okay, let me see. 2025, what are the Lions sitting at right now? All right, so check this. According to Spot Track, we are still in the 2025 calendar like season. That the 2026 season does not begin to the new league year. The new league year coincides with the beginning of free agency. Hence why you can re-sign players on it, like it all starts at the same time. Because we are still currently, I mean, the Super Bowl hasn't happened yet. So because we are still currently in the 2025 NFL season, here is where the Detroit Lions sit right now. So theoretically, according to the information we looked up at Google, they could restructure. I'm assuming, I could be off. They could probably start restructuring now since technically they are not over the cap. This is where we are right now. We are plus 20 million. But when things kick in for the new league year, we will be -7. So I'm assuming based off of what was said and how it was worded, maybe the Detroit Lions can start restructuring now in the next 6 weeks to create some, because you can't do it once you're over, or you can just cut people and create space that way. So this is where we're sitting right now. And if we go to 2026, I want you to pay attention to this number here. This number right here is 285 million. We are 8th in the NFL. If we go to 2026, now we're 329. That puts us 6th in the NFL, and we are -$7 million. And that's 23rd in the NFL. So there are 8 or 9 teams underneath the Detroit Lions where they will be next year. So Lions, what happens if you're over the cap? You get fined. You can lose draft picks, but I don't think we've really seen that happen. They did say in 2025, a transactional era is why the San Francisco 49ers were docked a pick. But I'm going to tell you what, if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell want to punch their ticket to the unemployment line and Marvin, then they will be over, they will make this mistake. So I'm not worried about this happening because I don't think this is something this regime is going to allow to happen. So let me know what you think in the comments below, but shout out to Lori for the question. All right, so what do y'all think, man? Yes, Steven, we already talked about that at the very beginning. I just realized Proctor was the dude that took the Wildcat snap. He's already a Lion. Okay, for cap 2026 cap space, it's roughly 12 million in the red. Well, that's even worse, Paint. I was only going by what Spot Trek is. What did you go to? Over the cap? Because I know sometimes they numbers be different, man. Yep, Midwest. Okay, I almost forgot. We still got to pay Gibbs, Jack, and Branch Laporta. We might be cooked. Hey, we've already talked about that, brother. We've already talked about that. All right, let me bring in this voicemail from a caller that he actually called last night. Wow. The Broncos fired offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi. And he was, at one point, he was the Lions offensive coordinator, right? Like, we're talking a long time ago. Because I think his grandfather is Vince. Bro, if your grandfather was Vince Lombardi, it seemed like you would ace everything. All right, let me put on my headphones and we'll wrap up the show. Hey, listen. Don't let your boy get some capital, bro. If your boy gets some capital, it's on and popping. It's on and popping. All right. So let me just say this and we'll wrap up the show. Right? So there's a guy, and I'm sure you guys, I don't want to go down this road. I'm just mentioning his name because I found something something intriguing yesterday. So there's a guy who he lives in Detroit. He's a pretty big YouTuber, a pretty controversial YouTuber. His name is Anton Daniels. You might have heard he's been in some controversy for the last week. Got into it with Corey Holcomb. Got into it with Kwame Brown. I almost called him Bus Life, but that's the name of his YouTube channel. Kwame Brown, the former #1 pick that went to the LA Lakers long time ago, I think it was. He never really panned out in the NFL. So there's a lot of things happening with Anton Daniels. So I'm not a huge fan of like Gilbert Arenas. Like I've liked him when he was playing. So long story short, Gilbert Arenas, like most NBA players and former NFL players and stuff like that, like everyone will have a podcast. I would be, well, Jared Goff don't seem like him and Matthew Stafford don't seem like they have a podcast, but I could see their wife had one. I could see Kristen like starting a podcast when sometime in the near future, I could see that happening. And it would be about, like her to Sports Illustrated, blah, blah, blah. What is it like? So I can see that. So somewhere down the line, everyone is going to have a podcast. That's just where it is. So I didn't know that I saw Skip Bayless. He just popped up at Gilbert Arenas. And I'm like, what is this? Like, where did this come from? I thought Skip had the Skip Bayless show. And I mean, and I predicted this a long time ago. It is nothing like, we saw Stephen A. Smith do it. We've seen, I'm actually surprised more people have not done this because you wind up owning the most of it. Like, of course, YouTube owns their platform and stuff like that, but these people can start their own thing. I mean, look at Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was a decent punter, but he is an extraordinary podcaster. Like, the dude was calling on ESPN2. He was calling the national championship game last Monday. He was calling it. Like, it was a alternate broadcast. You had main ESPN and then ESPN2, and him and his crew was like sitting with the homies. I was like, dang, man, that's crazy. So anyway, long story short is I didn't know that Gilbert Arenas, I guess, was bought out by FanDuel or something like that, or joined them and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, man, so now Gil's Arena is now just called the Arena or something like that. So I was just like, man, so that brought me back to like me. And I don't know if I'll ever be contacted by anybody. You know what I'm saying? I had one guy, he's actually a member of the channel. He actually told me that he saw the vision and would like to invest in the brand. But I was like, man, I wonder if we'll ever get to that point where we'll, and of course it'll be what's right for me and my crew. So it'll never be, a money grab or whatever. But I just think that was kind of crazy. I guess FanDuel reached out to him and partnered and now I guess bought him. I don't know what they did, but I was like, so no wonder Skip Bayless I'm like, this ain't even a good fit. Like, who would have ever put these dudes together? So anyway, yeah, crazy. All right. Brad has a sign. He made so he did a 50-50 deal with FanDuel. So here's the thing about me joining if somebody invests in the brand. So I'm like, I've always wanted to kind of start my own thing. And I think about it, right? Like, so, okay, I love the Crunch Time guys, right? And when they left, I supported them leaving Woodward. Woodward Sports is terrible. So I supported them. And I'm like, so now it seems like the Crunch Time dudes are, if you leave Woodward, they got a spot for you. I think it's brilliant. I think I mean, if I had a jump off point like that, that would, if you get kicked out of, for whatever reason, if you leave Woodward Sports, you got a place over here. Like you already have a built-in network of ways to come up. So, but we'll see. But I also like where I am, y'all. Hold on. I like where I am because I think being independent, being, not partnered with anybody, it allows me to be free. Because the way that I am, I could bring smoke to this other person. So this collaborator, like I could bring smoke to this collaborator because of the way I am, where, okay, you're affiliated with this guy. We don't want nothing to do with you. Right. So because I am a smoke bringer, I don't care about the Lions noticing me. I don't care, because if I ever got noticed by the Lions, my thing would be, okay, what can I do for the fans? What can I do for the fans? I don't care nothing about what you do for me. Let's just hypothetically say, if the Lions flew me out for the Super Bowl, right? Which Lions don't care nothing about social media. Like, they don't care nothing about us. But if they flew me out for the Super Bowl, my thing would be, okay, how do we bring the fans in here? What is this? How can we give them access that they would never have before? Like that's what I'm looking for. So I will never be fan of the year. I will never be a super fan. I will never be any of those things. So I just wanted that whole 10-minute segment was because of this whole thing with Anton Daniels and Gilbert and all this other stuff. And it's crazy. Shout out to Braylon, says, you should do a sports radio show, Lion Syndicate radio show. You know what's crazy is that being one person is really tough. Like, I've tried to do Spotify and stuff. Like, I could literally wake up in the morning. Y'all would never believe this. I could wake up in the morning and work the same work day as my wife and still be working when she's off. You'll be surprised, like, to record videos. It takes me about 35 to 40 minutes from record to releasing a video, depending on what it is. If it's breaking news, I can get it out quicker. But I have my eye set. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell y'all this, and I didn't want to tell you this before. I don't know if this is possible, but I have been contemplating. At one point, they have something called Kickstarter. And I've been like, I haven't decided if I was going to do this, but to do like a Kickstarter campaign to get me in a building. That would be like something that I've thought about. I don't even know if Kickstarter would do that. But I've thought about it, where literally the like, you guys are responsible for it, right? But I still have it in my head that I can do it myself. It's still in here that even if it's a little like shack of a room, you know what I'm saying, that I can bring in guests and I can bring in people from out of town or other YouTubers where it's not my house. So, but that's my goal. It's always been my goal, is to get into a location that I can, do. So I keep my eyes open for little places to rent, and I've called a few and stuff like that. And I found one. It's actually perfect. It's perfect, but it would need a lot of work. And I'm not willing to put that much money into this place because it wouldn't be mine. So it would need a ton of work, but it's like the perfect spot. It's down the street from my house. It's like half a mile from my house. It sits on a corner and stuff like that. So we'll see. But that's just one of my goals. And I just got off to that with Anton Daniels. All right, let's bring in this. But I also know what happens with a Kickstarter too. Like if I did a Kickstarter, because I already know how it is. If I was funded, like if the fan base helped me get started, then they would also be like, well, you only here because of us. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want that. I don't want nothing used against me, bro. I still think about the NFC Championship game. And I had somebody use that actually against me a couple of months ago. Said I was begging for money and stuff like that. So that's why, look. And the only reason I said anything is because I'm like, yo, I know that if we go to the Super Bowl, my people are going to want to see that. Like, because I know that the average person can't get there for whatever reason. So that's what I realized that I am. All right, let's bring in this shout out to Family Wealth Builder. Here's his voicemail. He left this last night.
Yo, what up, Doe D? This Family Wealth Builder in the chat. Family for short. My thing today is look at how many teams have multiple first round picks coming up in this draft that are already suited on offense, and imagine what they're about to do in the draft, specifically the Rams and the Dallas Cowboys. This is crazy. What in the world was Brad thinking? We probably is going to have to trade away one of our star players in order to get more picks in order to fix this team. Let me know what you think, D. And like I said, this Family Wealth Builder, family for short, calling from Detroit, man. 313, hold it out.
Hey, shout out to my 313 brother, man. That's what's up. I know you was local, my friend. Hey, I thought about that. Who could we trade? Who could the Lions give me somebody that we like? Who has trade value for the Lions? And then if we traded them away, what does that do to our team? But he's right. I forgot how did the Rams get a first round pick? Is it from the Atlanta Falcons? I was listening to and this is a team, like, when you think about this, and this is the last part, man. I can't believe we've been on for 2 hours, bro. Like, this is crazy to me. It's crazy how I can be by myself one segment of Woodward Sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, two, and we don't even have like cutaways and sponsors and commercials. Like, this is crazy, man. But y'all are responsible for this, the back and forth. This is why I do this, man. I do this because of the live interaction and stuff like that. We're going to bring this to Lions Syndicate as well. It won't be so often, but we're going to bring it. When you think about the Rams, like, it gets so upsetting. It gets so upsetting that in the time and the rebuttal that I hear is that the Rams were further along than the Lions. And I think, to me, that's an excuse, bro. Look at where the Patriots were last year. Look at where they were 2 years ago. You know who I think the Lions are? And you know what? This might be a little spicy take. You know what the Lions kind of remind me of, but a little bit better? The Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins had 5 first-round picks in 2 seasons. They had 5 first-round picks. The year that they took Tua, I think they had 5th, 18th, and 20-something. And I'm like, I give Brad Holmes a lot of grief. But imagine if that brother had, like, that's almost what we had. If he had 3 in one particular draft, could you imagine? If we had 3 in a particular, let's use the Jahmyr Gibbs draft. What if we were able to trade up? We were the ones that got Will Anderson Jr. We were the ones that got Jahmyr Gibbs. Or we were the ones that got, we somehow we pulled off Will Anderson Jr., Jalen Carter, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Will Anderson Jr., Jalen Carter, Jack Campbell. You know what I'm saying? Jahmyr Gibbs, Will Anderson, like any combination of those. What if I feel like, but the Dolphins are like the worst. No playoff appearances, no playoff wins. So I feel like, or was it them that got spanked? No, they didn't make the playoffs, right? Kansas City Chiefs beat up on them. I don't think they could have, but they haven't won in like forever. So what if we turn out to be like that? And then you have teams with no first round picks like the Rams. You got teams with no first round picks, man. And they're going further than us. They're making more progress. They're not regressing like we are. So it's like, that's a great point. But who do we have? Who do we have? Who could we trade that would really impact the team. See, we had that opportunity, and for the most part, we used it. You could say that the biggest blemish on really the Stafford trade to me is probably Josh Pascal. He's like the biggest whiff. I think everybody else turned out to be pretty darn good off the top of the head. I think Josh Pascal was probably the one let down from that entire thing. But if you look at it, and this is why Brad Holmes is getting so much criticism. If you look at what's happening now, okay, if you take those guys out, who is our team? Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw. There's no excuse for Ennis Rakestraw. Like I said on yesterday's show with Lion Syndicate, if Brad Holmes takes a cornerback, to me, why? That's all you've done. That's all you've done is take cornerbacks. Cornerback after safety, after defensive back, after cornerback, after safety. I mean, you took a cornerback in the second round of the 2024 draft who has played 8 games. Isn't he supposed to play? So why would you take another one? Emmanuel Mosley, Ife Melifonwu, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph. The list goes on and on and on. And then when you look at edge rushers, he don't get that same love. Mekhi Wingo, James Houston, the legend, Ahmed Hassanin. You can tell. So if Brad goes again to the secondary, bro, our defensive line, we better have, watching Seattle. Seattle doesn't really have, I don't know because I got to look at the stats, but when I was watching, it ain't nobody that jumps out on Seattle. But they were winning with 4 people. 4. They murdered the San Francisco 49ers. Spit they bones in the trash can, bro. And they took Stafford to the wire. And they got there with 4. That has been our biggest problem for years. If you have to bring up the secondary or the linebacker, those second and third levels, the secondary is your last line of defense. You know what I'm saying? You're strong and free safety is it. Kirby Joseph getting all these interceptions. He our last line of defense. Him and Brian Branch. That's why if a safety or a cornerback leads your team in tackles or is top 3 in tackles, that's a problem. That means they're getting past your first line of defense, your second line. That means quarterbacks are getting the ball off, your linebackers are whiffing, or you're allowing explosive plays and the only people back there is secondary players. DeMarcus Lawrence DeMarcus Lawrence was great. He was great in Dallas. He became, it was a time, I think I was still on my other channel, bro. I made a video from the car about DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence was a guy we could have used. There's a lot of guys, bro. Lions just, this whole, this mantra that they have. And that's why, to me, this is a big, last year was make or break. We broke. And now this is a fix-it year. And the Lions have to fix it. They have a lot of work that they need to do. Titans hire Brian Daboll as their OC. Okay, so that's official. If he gave the same effort on the defensive line, like a secondary, we make it back-to-back appearances. Hey, Paint. Hey, that's facts. I thought the same thing. He looked lost without Kirby. It was almost like they were a hive mind, bro. They worked well and Kirby could hold his own without BB, but he didn't really have to be that long without him. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, he played in the system without him. But when he got here, but you're right, man. Brian Branch, it's almost like he needed that leader, that older brother, that big brother back there, man. We haven't been good with our front 4 since Fairley, Sue, and those boys. Absolutely. So, look, y'all, we're going to find out. This is the year that the Lions have to nail it. No more. And that's why I'm like, yo, you can't be serious about a quarterback. Yes, we need a backup quarterback. But, I mean, look, Kyle Allen barely saw the field. He saw the field on Jared Goff had to come out one play, and it was a run or whatever. I mean, for the past couple of years, Goff has been healthy. As a matter of fact, I think the most games he missed was when it was either the oblique injury with us or the hand with the Rams. And I feel like it might have been the oblique injury. Let me see. What did TM Martin say? We can return all those dudes. I have the receipts. I have all the receipts. Mine, you stupid, bro. what did you say? It says because it's all their fault. Too cheap, too arrogant, blown drafts, let good players walk in free agency. What gives you hope? Anything is different. Teams has regressed to bottom. That's 100% facts. TM says Lions fans have a lot of super fans. I won't be buying any more tickets until they catch fire again. I might score some training camp tickets, and those are free, as you know. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Assuming that the Lions actually call me, of course, maybe it kind of goes with the new season, because when I got called or the email for season tickets to pick, it was after the new league year started. As a matter of fact, it was like that Monday. And they said, yo, you're picking this week. Your day to pick is Friday. And I've thought about getting off the list. And I said, Derek, you've never been a season ticket holder, so at least experience it for at least a year and see what's up. You know what I mean? And but I'm wondering if I'm going to get caught this year. I wouldn't be mad if I don't. Let's put it like that. It was kind of I didn't expect to get on the season ticket holder list last year. And then when I got the email, I was like, yo, this is kind of exciting. And then I was a little disappointed when they missed out, or I missed out. But then I look back at it and I was like, you know what? You really didn't want them this year because you had already put it in your mind that you weren't going to get them because of where you were on the wait list. So it's kind of crazy because I've been on the wait list now it has now officially been 14 months, which is unique because we've never really experienced anything like that. So, but we are, that's going to be the show. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. Thank you for, the show. And I mean, we've had over 100 people in here for most of the show. And for me to be doing this by myself is, kind of interesting. So I'll tell everybody what I have. And if you have this back on play this back, then you'll know. So I have a Rodecaster Pro 2, and the software that I use is called vMix. It's way overkill. It is a high value production software. Like it's complete overkill. Like StreamYard would be just fine, but that's how I do it. I gotta overkill everything. So what's happening is the Rodecaster Pro 2, in talking to my computer, when I bring in a call or computer audio, that computer audio is doubled back on the caller. Now, the Rodecaster Pro has mix minus built into it. vMix has mix minus built into it. And I am having trouble. And I've talked to vMix. I've talked to Rode, who makes the product. And everything that I've tried has not worked. And they gave me like a new these new drivers to use with the Rodecaster Pro 2. But when I use it, it makes vMix crash. So I've been staying away from it. So it's not as simple as using headphones. That doesn't work. So if you understand correctly, my computer audio is going back to the caller, and I don't know how to stop that from happening. So either I can't hear them or they can hear themselves twice. So it's either one of those two things. I know it's something simple. I know it's right in front of me. And I've been dealing with this and that's why no guests have been brought in. So if there's anybody who is familiar with this equipment, please email me and we'll hop on a call and try and figure this thing out. I have looked at YouTube videos. I have talked to vMix, and nothing has worked. Nothing has worked. And then it's crazy, man. Cause like the vMix people are in Australia. So when it's late here, it's early there, and we're going back and forth and nothing is working. And so anyway, let me know what's going on with that. If there's anybody that know this. And the reason I haven't said anything is because people like to steal. People like to steal. Like nobody does anything on their own anymore. They like to steal content and ideas. And so unfortunately, most Lions creators have to keep things close to the chest because somebody else will steal them. Shout out to Braylon with the super chat. Says, I just saw that Bill Belichick will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Missed it by 10 votes. Wow, 40 out of 50. That is crazy. Maybe it's his attitude, bro. I mean, that does go a long way. Like Antonio Brown, right? He'll probably never see the Hall of Fame, even though he was on that path. But he'll never get there now. So anyway, appreciate y'all. I will catch you in tomorrow. Tomorrow we're back on this channel. And then, of course, Thursday we're on Lions Syndicate. All right? I will catch you guys tomorrow. Go Lions. And, yeah, man. Soon, I feel things picking up, man. It'll be picking up. As soon as the Super Bowl ends, I think the Lions will start making moves. All right, I'll catch y'all tomorrow.
and I'm pissing off the neighbors. Whether homegrown or imported, we feeling shorted, cause we waiting on our paper. So next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, where we get back on our feet. Next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, when we get back on our feet. Yeah, you don't know about the D, you don't know about the streets, cause when you're in the motor city, nothing is as pretty as the hustle. You don't know about the D, you don't know about the streets, cause when you're in the motor city, everything ain't pretty but it's love though. Next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, where we get back on our feet. Next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, when we get back on our feet. Yeah.